Avoid smearing ink with alcohol markers or having to wait for it to dry with this simple hack. Hey guys, it's Amber Rain Davis. I'm back with another Color Connection episode where we use the Inspiration Challenge color theme to inspire our designs. I'm using the Hug Me stamp set, which is an old favorite that I haven't used in ages. In fact, I had to go online to make sure it was still being sold. And the Illusion Spiral Stencil. This is a great stencil because it brings everything into the focal point. I loaded the stamp into the Misty because I like to re-stamp my images after coloring. That helps me to bring back the crisp image after coloring. I find that the lines tend to get a little fuzzy, or they don't have as much contrast after I've colored on top of the stamped lines. So if you have a Misty or stamp positioner, that's something that I recommend. I've inked up the stamp with fuchsia Christi ink, and this coordinates well with our inspiration color palette. I didn't get a clean stamping, so I'm just conditioning the stamp with my microfiber cloth, and I'll stamp it again with that fuchsia ink. All of the supplies for today's video will be listed in the description down below, so be sure to check that out. Now, while this fuchsia color coordinates well with our color palette, I didn't think far enough ahead to what color artist markers I have. So you'll see as I start to pull out the pinks to color this, they totally clash with the fuchsia. And so I'll show you the fix for that when we get to that color. Here I have the Dewdrops artist marker, and I'm going to keep all of the coloring in today's video at real speed. It's a small image, so it shouldn't take long. This is about a 12-minute video. And I know that you guys appreciate when the coloring is at the normal speed. So I'm coloring on a glass mat, and if you haven't tried coloring on a glass mat before, I highly recommend it, especially if you're struggling with blending your colors together. It can be a really helpful process. So if you're coloring on a glass mat, your inks, your alcohol inks, are not going to evaporate or dry as quickly. So that will extend your blending time. It gives you a longer period of time to blend where those colors are kind of still open to blending, and you don't have to work as quickly. So if you're new to coloring, that can be really helpful. I'll show you an instance in a few minutes, in a minute or so, where you would want to add a piece of cardstock or something absorbent underneath your paper. Okay, so I've grabbed Pink Diamond and Pinkalicious here, and I'm going to color this little fox pink. Now, you can see right away that the Pink Diamond is significantly a warmer pink than the fuchsia, but I'm thinking as I add the additional darker colors that it'll be a closer match. Not the case, but we'll get to that. I also realized as I started to color underneath the nose that that's the area of the fox that should be white, so I stopped coloring it, and I'm just going to let that dry while I do the rest of the fox and fill it in with the Pink Diamond. And you can see that I'm not being particularly careful with my strokes. It's all going to blend in nicely together, so I'm not too worried about it. I've grabbed the colorless blender, and I'm going to push that pink up into the top of the head there. So remember, your colorless blender is not an eraser. It's not going to bleach out the ink. It can push it into a different area. Right now it looks like the pink is completely gone, but because I have this on a glass mat, I've basically pushed the ink down into the glass mat and there's nowhere for it to go. It can't absorb into anything. So if you're going to use your colorless blender, you need to put something absorbent underneath your piece of cardstock. So another piece of cardstock, a paper towel, something that can absorb that ink that you're pushing through the cardstock down to the bottom. What's going to happen is while you can't see that pink right now, it's going to come back up through the paper because there was nowhere for it to go or absorb into. So I love the glass mat. It's great for coloring. If you're trying to fix an area, just put something absorbent underneath your cardstock. So I've added a little bit of shadow with Pinkalicious. It's not nearly enough, so I've moved on to the next darkest color, which is Rubelite. This family of pink markers are from the Sunshine Valley Artist Marker Set. So adding this darker color is just going to help this pop. When you're thinking about your shadows, I just don't put a lot of thought into it, you guys. I definitely will put a shadow where things overlap. So you know that between the body and the top of the leg, there's going to be a casted shadow. Same with the arms there. Underneath the little scarf, there's going to be a casted shadow. I'm considering that my light source is coming from the right hand side, and so I'm shadowing more of the left side of his face and his body than anything else, but keeping in mind that his body is kind of round and his head is kind of round, so my highlight is going to be kind of more in the center, maybe to the right center. If I don't get the shadow exactly right or realistic, I don't worry about it. Nobody's going to notice, you guys. So what I would say is don't avoid coloring just because you're uncomfortable or not sure where to put your shadows. Okay, so my hack to avoid smearing ink with your alcohol markers and having to wait for it to dry is to stamp with a dye ink. Normally I would pick a coordinating color, and as I've already mentioned, I am off on my coordinating my pinks here. But if you think about if it was just this fox and no letters that we had stamped in the fuchsia ink, it totally works, you guys. You can get this beautiful no line color effect going on here, and he's super cute. I love the look of this. Of course, we are going to have to do something about the pink letters, and we'll get to that. But what you don't want to do is stamp with black dye ink. That is going to smear all over the place. But I haven't had any issues with doing this with colored dye ink. And my issue with the Copic Safe black inks is that I don't wait long enough for it to dry. And then if I try and heat set it, sometimes it curls up my cardstock and then my card panel doesn't sit flat when I'm coloring. So for me, I know plenty of people are successful with that, but for me, I prefer this hack to avoid the smearing and to be able to color immediately. Okay, we've got to fix this mismatch of pinks. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this with the Obsidian Pigment ink. Now, I really love the no line color of this fox. I think it's super cute, very storybook. And here you can see me take a look at this. I'm just double checking. Do I really want to do this? I like wait for more than 10 seconds, you guys. I'm looking at it. This isn't even slowed down or paused. I'm just contemplating, do I really want to do it? So anytime I'm coloring an image, I will leave that image in my MISTI just in case I need to stamp it again at the end of the process. That way I don't have to line anything up again. It's perfectly placed. So let's see. I love it. I think the black really makes it pop. And while I really liked the no line color effect, I think this works really well too, and it solves our pink issue. I'm going to stamp it again because you can see some of that pink coming through the letters a little bit. And how cute is he? Moving on to our background, I'm going to start with Pink Diamond in the middle of this Illusion Spiral stencil. And I did speed this up to twice the speed because, you know, ink blending can take a little bit of time and I don't think it's very exciting to watch. Then I'll put a little bit of Pinkalicious around the edges, and I'm going to move on to Aqualicious around the outside. Now the Aqualicious, it's not quite as green as the marker was. I feel like the marker looked a little greener than this. And so I'm going to add a little of the Teal Cave to this, which is the next darkest color in this color family. And that's going to help this panel be even more vibrant and saturated as well. And that center dot is just begging for a focal point in there. Okay, so here it is, and I'm feeling like I need to tweak this design. It's kind of a lot, right? I feel like the background, here's the lighter one that I did with the fuchsia. This one I switched over to the pinks that I used for the marker. And I just feel like it's a lot. So I'm going to use that other one and cut it down to see what this would look like with a little more white space around the edges. So before I go ahead and cut into the panel that I like more, that has the right color pinks in it, I'll use this as a test. I do like more white space around the design, so I'm going to go ahead and tweak this design. I'll cut down the more vibrant piece and add in a little more white space. I think that's going to help bring your eye to the focal piece a little bit better. It's going to just make it less busy. And then of course we have that frame over to the left hand side that we could use for another card. I hope you guys enjoyed this hack today to avoid smearing your inks with your alcohol markers and to be able to color immediately. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you soon with more inspiration.
Hello crafters, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for watching!